I didn't even sit down before my lawyer said it. Call your parents, tell them you lost everything. I actually laughed not because it was funny, but because it sounded insane. You want me to lie to them? I asked, still standing in his office, my hand tightening around my phone. I want you to see them clearly, he replied, calm as ever. Because right now, you don't. That sentence stuck not because I agreed with it, but because a small, uncomfortable part of me knew he might be right. My name is Jessica, and until that moment I thought I had my family figured out. Complicated, sure, a little distant, definitely, but still family. At least that's what I kept telling myself. 2 weeks earlier, I had finalized the biggest deal of my life. I sold my company for just over $20 million. Years of work, sleepless nights, risks that could have buried me, it all paid off in one clean transfer. I didn't tell my parents right away, not because I didn't want to, but because I already knew how that conversation would go. It always went the same way, pride mixed with subtle entitlement, support wrapped in expectations. They loved me, but only when my success somehow included them. That's why I went to my lawyer first, not just for contracts or taxes. For protection, because something didn't feel right. He had been quiet while reviewing everything, too quiet. Then he asked a question that threw me off completely. Who else knows about the money? Just you, I said. And now the bank? He nodded like that confirmed something for him. Then he leaned back and gave me that look. The one that meant he was already 3 steps ahead of a situation I didn't even fully understand yet. Jessica, he said carefully, before you tell anyone, I need you to test something. That's when he explained the idea, the fake loss, the phone call, the lie. I hated it immediately. Why would I do that? I asked. They're my parents, not suspects. Exactly, he said. So if I'm wrong, nothing changes, but if I'm right, this will be the cheapest mistake you ever make. Cheapest mistake, that phrase didn't sit right with me. But neither did the feeling in my gut. So now here I was, standing in his office, staring at my phone like it was about to expose something I wasn't ready to see. You don't have to do it, he added, softer this time. But if you don't, you'll always wonder. And that was it. That was the reason I pressed the call button. It rang twice before my mom picked up. Jessica, sweetheart, is everything okay? Her voice was warm, concerned. For a second, everything felt normal. I almost hung up, but I didn't. I messed up, I said, forcing my voice to crack just enough to sound real. The deal, it fell through, worse than that. I lost everything. I could feel her reaction shifting. Oh, she said finally, just that, no panic, no are you okay? No urgency, just calculation. Then her tone changed subtly but enough that I noticed instantly. How much are we talking about? She asked. I swallowed. All of it, around 20 million. Her words came slower this time, colder. Well, she said slowly, that's unfortunate. Unfortunate. I felt my chest tighten, but I kept going. I don't know what to do. I thought maybe I could come home for a bit, just until I figure things out. There it was, the moment my lawyer told me to listen for. I could hear her breathing faintly, then she spoke again. Jessica, your father and I have a lot going on right now. Of course you do, I thought. I wouldn't want you to come here and feel uncomfortable, she added. You know how stressful things can get. Uncomfortable, that word hit harder than anything else she'd said, because I knew what it meant. It meant no, but she wasn't done. Maybe it's better if you handle this where you are, she continued. You've always been independent, you'll figure it out. Independent, right, that's what they called it when I didn't need anything from them. And suddenly, everything my lawyer said started echoing in my head. Watch how fast love becomes conditional. I didn't realize I had gone quiet until she spoke again. Jessica, yeah, I said, my voice flat now. I understand. And I did, more than I wanted to. Just as I was about to hang up, I heard something in the background, my dad's voice, muffled but clear enough. Ask her how much she has left. My grip tightened around the phone, and for the first time, I realized this wasn't going to be a simple test. The moment I heard my dad's voice, my heart skipped. Ask her how much she has left. I froze, gripping the phone tighter. This wasn't just curiosity, it was calculation. I forced myself to speak, my voice steady. Nothing, really, it's all gone. There was a faint click in the background. My mom shifted, probably whispering to him. I could hear her tone, controlled, measured, nothing like concern. Jessica, she said finally, slower this time, you've always been strong, maybe this is for the best. For the best, my chest tightened. Every word felt like a judgment, a hidden verdict I couldn't read. I wanted to ask questions, but I didn't. My lawyer's warning echoed in my mind, watch how fast love becomes conditional. I stayed silent, letting them speak. Letting them reveal themselves, and reveal themselves they did. What about your apartment? My mom asked. Is it manageable or should we help? Manageable, she meant, could she take control if needed? Could they position themselves to benefit? I knew that now. I'll be fine, I said, soft enough to sound fragile. Another long pause, then a faint laugh from my dad, dry, controlled, calculated. You've always been independent, he said. Maybe too independent? I swallowed hard, every word weighing on me. He wasn't praising me. He was observing, testing. That's when it hit me. The whole plan, my lawyer's plan, was working. Every subtle inflection, every pause, every question was revealing the truth. I had always suspected my parents were complicated, conditional, but this was beyond anything I imagined. The call continued. Their words were neutral on the surface, but the subtext was sharp, almost cutting. I pretended to cry a little, just enough, to keep them engaged, to see if they'd react differently to fear or loss, and they did. In a way that chilled me. Maybe you should think about selling the apartment too, my mom suggested. It's a lot of responsibility for someone in your position. Responsibility, translation, we might want control if you fail. I nodded silently, letting the words sink in. My voice cracked again. I guess you're right. I could hear my dad's footsteps in the background. He was moving closer. I didn't know if he intended to intervene or just observe. Then my lawyer's words flashed through my mind. Sometimes the truth comes out without you asking for it. I realized he was right. Every single reaction, every subtle tone, every calculated pause, they were exposing themselves. And the more they revealed, the more I understood. This wasn't just about money. It was about control. It was about who I really was to them. It was about how far their love would stretch and where it would break. I wanted to end the call. But I couldn't, not yet, because if I hung up now, I'd lose the proof, the evidence of their true selves. I forced my voice soft again. I'll figure it out, thank you for listening. Of course, my mom replied, smooth, polished. Emotionless enough to send a shiver down my spine. I hung up, slowly, carefully, and as soon as the call ended, I exhaled. Relief, not yet, the weight of what I had just uncovered pressed down heavier than ever. I picked up my phone again and called my lawyer. He answered immediately. Done? Yes, I said, my voice flat. They showed everything. There was a pause on his end. Then, good, now we move to step two. Step two. I swallowed hard, already sensing the storm ahead. Because now the test had ended and the real game was about to begin. The next morning, my lawyer called with a plan. You need to go back, he said. Not to confront them, to observe. Observe. That one word made my stomach twist. I wasn't sure if I was ready to see their real selves in person, but I knew there was no turning back. I took a deep breath and drove to their house. The neighborhood looked normal, quiet, almost too quiet. I parked at a distance and watched. My parents' house was exactly as I remembered it, pristine, controlled, every detail reflecting them, not me. I stayed in the car for what felt like hours, watching, waiting. Every movement, every gesture was a clue. Then I saw them. My mom stepping out of the front door, clipboard in hand. My dad beside her, nodding, calculating. They didn't see me, not yet. And that was when I noticed it, the subtle shift. How they spoke to the neighbors, how they organized their morning, how every action was designed to impress, manipulate, or control. I realized something terrifying. My lawyer was right. The call was only the beginning. They were already performing for me, testing me even without knowing I was watching. I backed away slightly, heart racing. I couldn't help but remember my lawyer's words, truth comes out when people think they're in control. And now they were completely in control, or at least they thought they were. I decided to step inside, carefully, slowly. Every sound I made had to be intentional, every word measured. They didn't notice me at first, then my mom glanced toward the hallway. "Jessica," she said, smiling too brightly. "I didn't expect to see you today." The smile didn't reach her eyes. I saw it immediately. Cold, calculated. I forced a small, polite smile in return. "I wanted to drop by just to check in." They both studied me. My dad leaned back slightly, arms crossed. My mom's clipboard shifted like a shield. And then something unexpected happened. A phone buzzed. My mom picked it up, read the message, and her face changed. Subtly but sharply. She whispered something to my dad. A smirk flickered across his face for the briefest second. I knew then, they weren't just testing me, they were planning how to benefit if I really lost everything. Every gesture, every word, every pause, they weren't accidents. They were rehearsed, refined, deliberate. I wanted to leave, to run, but I stayed. Because I had to see it through. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. It was about uncovering the truth about who they were when nothing was at stake, and I was ready. I stepped fully into the room, my voice calm, steady, but with an edge they couldn't miss. "Hi," I said. "I think we need to talk." They looked at me, really looked. And for the first time that morning, I saw hesitation, a crack in their armor. That crack was all I needed. I stood there watching them shift in their seats. The calm masks, the polished smiles, they were cracking, slowly, almost imperceptibly. "Jessica, what are you really here for?" my mom asked, voice tight. I smiled softly, letting the pause linger, just enough for them to feel uncertain. "I just wanted to see how much you care," I said, my tone even controlled. They exchanged glances, subtle, quick, but meaningful. "You've always been independent," my dad said, leaning forward. "Maybe too independent." I nodded, letting his words sink in. Their attempts to control, to test, to manipulate, they were all transparent now. I took a deep breath and continued, voice calm but firm. "I told you I lost everything," I said, "and you reacted exactly as I expected. Calculated, conditional, controlled. You didn't see me, you saw an opportunity." My mom flinched but didn't speak. My dad's jaw tightened. I let the silence stretch. Not a word, not an apology, not even a reaction, just the weight of truth settling in the room. And then I added softly, almost casually, "You might think you're in control, but you're not." "Not anymore?" Their eyes widened finally, a crack in their composure. I reached into my bag and pulled out the documents, bank statements, contracts, proof of the sale, everything. "Step 1, I said, I tested you with a lie. Step 2 is you seeing the truth." I laid the papers on the table, slowly, deliberately. My mom looked down first, her fingers brushing the top page. She swallowed, words catching in her throat. My dad exhaled sharply. I cut him off, calm, steady. "I sold the company $20 million, not lost, not gone. And yes, I wanted to see if you'd care about me or just the money." The room was still heavy. The air thick with the reality of everything that had happened. Finally, my mom spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "Jessica, I shook my head slightly. I wanted you to show me who you really are. And now you have. No more manipulation, no more testing, no more pretending." For the first time, I felt free. The weight lifted because I knew the truth. And the truth was mine to keep. I gathered the papers, turned and walked out of the house. Slowly, calmly, every step a reminder, control had shifted. And as I drove away, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Relief, power, clarity. I wasn't just Jessica the daughter anymore. I was Jessica, the one who had seen everything, tested everything, and come out on top. No lies, no tricks, just the truth and the knowledge that love isn't always what it seems. Sometimes it's conditional. Sometimes it's only revealed when everything is at stake. And sometimes you have to create the test yourself.